well. So glad to be here with you. Always start out every live stream saying that time is a valuable thing, and one of your most valuable assets as a human being. And the fact that you spend a little bit of your time with me is always going to be appreciated. So thank you so much, Scott. How you doing, sir? Cheers to you. Emergency here, so I might not be around. Hey, man, take care of yourself. Take care of that first, and I hope it works out, sir. I'm glad that you at least checked in. Mr. Watson, how you doing? Good to have you here, sir. Mr. Rogers in the house. Hello, 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 hello. Ever greetings to everybody. Good Sunday evening to everybody out there. As I always say, I never know how many people are going to show up in a live stream on any given evening, but for everybody who does, really appreciate you being here. Really appreciate you being here so much. Um, yeah, what's been going on? Well, I always start out before I get into my main subject tonight. I talk about things that happened here with me at the studio, or just in general that I think is related or interesting to you. Yesterday was the vintage guitar show in Vinendal. And it's usually twice a year that they hold it in March and September. I skipped the March one, if you guys don't remember. I skipped that one. But Ben Allmark in the house. Good evening to you, sir. Good evening. I skipped that one, but I went to the one this year and spent some time down there. I shot a lot of footage of it. And the things that I found interesting, the things that I thought you guys might want to see, and just got a general feel for the event and the market as it stands right now. One of my main things was just seeing what the prices were like, for example, or was a lot of things moving, were a lot of things selling, things like that. And it was very interesting to me that the prices of things have dropped. From September last year when I was there to this September, so 1 year later, I have seen prices of guitars go down across the board. Across the board. Um, there was a wider range of prices for guitars there. Generally, everybody thinks that when you go to a vintage guitar show, that the prices of the guitars are going to be, astronomical. That's not necessarily true. Actually, in the case of, I have a good friend, Patrick. You guys know him. He pops in the live stream here sometimes, and he had his booth up, and also I wanted to see him as well. It's another reason I went, and I really appreciate the fact that he had a very wide range of prices, and from a few €100 on up. And I saw that the people who had that kind of wider range of things was more this time, and the more higher end guys, they were there. Some of them were asking. Some of them were still asking astronomical, just insane prices on some vintage gear. But I did note that there was more Epiphones, Squires, um, some of the less Bernies, for example, out of Japan, some of the lesser known makes and models. And they were priced pretty low uh, compared to a year ago, last September, when I last was there. And I shot footage of it. So you guys will have a chance to check that out and see how that goes. I think that it was quite an event. I have to say, I did enjoy seeing the things that I saw. It's always cool to see, especially as you guys know, I love Les Paul Customs, and I saw a beautiful one there. So again, I videotaped that, so you guys can enjoy seeing that when I edit it Today I have to be because so that was Saturday. Okay. So Saturday, pretty much. Well, it takes about an hour and a half from Amsterdam to get there, followed by a 20-minute walk from the station to the venue. I said hello to the cows because it's going by a cow pasture. Not kidding. And then, of course, being at the event, coming back, and then Saturday evening, I was had the pleasure of being invited by the director of the concert at Gavral down here down the street um, to attend the 40th anniversary of a certain event that they have there, and go to a party afterwards and meet with the one of the they had a music, not just classical music, but they were featuring modern music as well, and they had a gentleman named Musafa who had composed quite a symphony. He's 28 years old, and got a chance to talk to him, shake his hand, and tell him I enjoyed his music very much. So, today, and those are completely two different kind of things. The vintage show is, there's a certain way that I am, and then at this event, because it was being sponsored by a Japanese company, I found myself speaking Japanese at the party, and it's just and surprised the hell out of one Japanese guy. I always love that reaction. "Hontou ni nihongo wa wakarimasu?" I was like, why not? you know. But today I was in mind of a Prince song, and I even pulled up the lyrics here. Close the shop, let's take a drive. Take a break from 9 to 5. It's so great to be alive. Oh, yeah. And I often think about those lyrics that he wrote. The song is called Strolling, which, by the way, contains my one of probably my one of my top three favorite guitar solos by Prince. It shows a sophistication that when I heard it, I was surprised. I was like, wow, Prince has moved up into a whole nother level with his guitar playing. I really, really like that solo and Strolling. But lyrically, I keep that. Let's close the shop. In other words, let's shut this down. This is too much. This is too much. It's too much. I thought to myself today I was going to sit down and edit the Vinendal video after I wrote the script for tonight's live stream. And I said, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Close the shop. Let's close the shop. Let's take a break from 9 to 5. Because if you start doing this, you'll be doing it 7 days a week, with all the things that you can get involved with. And I just don't want to do that. So let's take a ride. A Sunday Detour in Music and Life is the title of tonight's live stream. Um, you know, it's more. It's today's stream is going to feel different. More like a Sunday drive than a workday commute. Is what I had in mind. And no grinding today. We're strolling. We're taking a detour. We're going off the beaten path. We're just going to see what shows up, especially here in the live stream. I want to hear from you guys. Chime in. We've been all over the place. I've seen 36 at some point. Now we're down to 4. Again, like I said, regardless of how many people are here, I'd love to hear from you. So do chime in. Let me hear your thoughts. I've been deep diving into gear reviews and YouTube business talk, and I don't want to do that tonight. I want to continue the vibe that I had for myself set for today was to just slow it down and stepping off track and remembering why we kind of do this in the first place. And life and music aren't just about straight lines, is one thing that I've discovered. Uh, Detours occur. Detours occur. And things, sometimes in those detours, magic happens. And I stand there in my Sunday best at these cocktail parties. By the way, the orchestra was, I had wonderful seats. And the program, other than the young composer's music, was Beethoven and Brahms and full orchestra. And I was sitting there, and this I've been going to the Concertgebouw here down the street for about 25 years now, honestly, maybe 26 years now. And it's funny, I started out as a tourist, just getting tickets and going whenever I was in town, to it becoming where I'm standing there in the back with members of the orchestra and the muckety mucks of the, of the event, and that's an interesting detour to take. It's a trajectory through life to go from this point and then look back 20, be standing there and say, "Hey, this is funny. This is hilarious." And you know, sometimes even a life detour uh, can, as I said, end up to be magic. The other thing that I was thinking about was the other half of yesterday was standing there at that vintage show, at the vintage guitar show, because guitars for me were a tool first, um, and then they turned into a business. And as a matter of fact, I just finished on the other day, on Friday, I did my finished up my guitar safari for my next load of guitars from Japan. And I've noticed that again, like I said, the prices of those guitars in Japan are dropping. The guitar market in general, guys, is in a continuing downward trajectory. I just asked my friend Patrick before the live stream how he did with sales, and he said not so good. And I kind of got that impression a little bit. Um, and you can tell an event like that, when you walk up, you'll see cats coming in and out. And usually, when cats are coming out, they're carrying a guitar or a bass or an amp, something, something, a bag with pedals in it, something. And I didn't see that. I saw, and in terms of overall crowd, it honestly didn't feel as crowded as a year ago when I was there. I don't like crowds, which is ironic because of most of yesterday I was in the crowd. I mean, from the moment I woke, I mean, pretty much all day I was in the crowd. I really hate being in crowds. I try to avoid them when I can. It's the one eccentric aspect of my personality that I do try to hold on to dearly. But I was there in that event, in that crowd at the Vintage Guitar Show, thinking to myself, well, it's still good that I can look at guitars with some sense of wow or wonder, or that's nice. I don't have quite yet the cold, jaded heart that most dealers eventually develop. Um, I reflected on that and I said, I really don't want to lose that magic. Because when you turn something into a business, you can lose the magic of it. One thing that it did do for me is it it didn't lose the magic necessarily, but I lost some of the spells, the illusion spells, have been cast off, and so that's good. But I was still able to walk through that vintage show and see some things and say, wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Now, tied into that, and as I said, we're going to be taking detours tonight. This is one of those live streams when I'm doing stream of thoughts. I have a few notes here, um, but I kind of just want to see where this conversation goes. And in talking to a few of the dealers yesterday, again trying to drum up a little business for myself as well, of course. Um, just getting a pulse for what they were thinking and feeling, and particularly about the vintage market. And most of them agreed that the younger generation don't seem to be that much interested in that market, and that played out in the crowd that was there. Scott, you're here. Welcome. Stan, hola, but you're deleted. You retracted. Welcome, Stan. Hola. But they agreed that, and I could look around the room and see there wasn't a lot of young people. There wasn't many under. I'll be kind and say under 45s there. There was not. Um, and it was kind of a sausage fest as well. Hey, Ellie, you want to say hello? Come here, sweet. Come say hello. Whoa. Hey, guys, say hello to Ellie, the studio cat. Yeah, she wants to go out. You want to stay here? You can stay. You're welcome. Yeah, it wasn't a lot of young people there. And most of the dealers think that they're going to have problems coming up here down the line with their vintage stuff. And I had let me let her out, guys. Sorry. Go on. And I agree. I really think that, and I saw that Brian Seltzer from Stray Cats fame has set up a reverb shop, so he's starting to offload his stuff. So you're just gonna have a whole lot again, Cat's music journey. Well, a whole lot to you. We can switch the live stream over to Espanol if you guys like. I can try to stumble through that. It's not as good as my French. Um, we think that we need to plan every move, but sometimes, sidetracks can lead to a different path. And like I said, in both the cases of both events yesterday that I attended, I had to reflect back on my life and see how did this happen? How did I get here? And I wanted to take today off, like I said. I just didn't want to do anything. I walk my dog. The weather has just been terrible here in Amsterdam. I walk my dog. We dogs, May and Hoshi, and went to the store and basically spent the rest of the day doing as little as possible. And I just completely nixed the idea of editing again that Venendal video. I'll do that tomorrow, and put it out. But just again, that Prince line, I'll go back to that I stated at the beginning of this live stream. Close the park. Let's close the shop. Let's take a drive. Take a break from 9 to 5. I really like that sentiment. It's the other part. The other line is after that is it's so great to be alive. Oh yeah, and it's sad that he's not anymore, but he did leave behind the sentiment of be alive. Enjoy things and enjoy in our little sector, our little table. Again, for those that are new here or watching for the first time, I always use the metaphor of YouTube being a high school cafeteria. Everybody's got their cliques. There's their certain table that they sit at, and here at the music gear table, uh, I think you know we need to